and then dangled her off of the balcony, and he was yelling at her, you know what the bleep you did? You know what the bleep you did? Hey everyone, wrapping up day 16 in the Diddy trial, and this was not a sweet 16 for Diddy. Here's a quote from testimony today. "I'm the devil and I could kill you." Now, I'd say guess who said that, but I think you can figure that out. We're going to get into why he said it and who he said it to, because that's what was the main subject today on the stand. The woman who was testifying, her name is Brianna Bongalan. Brianna was a designer who was not an employee of Diddy's or of Sean Combs Enterprises, but she did do some work for him. Mainly, she was a really good friend of Cassie's. And she testified about a lot of the things she saw about domestic violence, and some of that was called into question rather brilliantly, I gotta say, by the defense. We'll get to the cross-examination in a minute. But first, what Brianna talked about, she was talking about, aside from domestic violence, ways that she saw Diddy controlling Cassie, always following her every move in kind of haunting ways occasionally. In particular, she says in 2016, shortly after the hotel beating at the Intercontinental, she and Cassie went out for a shopping trip, a shopping spree, and they went, Diddy was not with them, and she says that while they were on the shopping spree, Diddy was calling, Cassie didn't pick up, but when they got back after the shopping spree, Diddy made it clear to them that he knew exactly where they were, sent a list to Cassie of all the places they were. It's unclear to me whether she meant that he was electronically tracking her or if he had someone following her, but he definitely knew where they were all day. One of the other things she talked about was a personal incident that she had, that she says she had with Diddy. This was a night that she had slept over at Cassie's place. Brianna says she was sleeping on the couch with her girlfriend, Cassie presumably in her bedroom, and she said that she woke up to Diddy walking into the apartment, and because she had seen incidents before where he was violent, she said she wanted to get away from that. So she went out onto the balcony of the apartment and was about to light up a blunt when she says Diddy came running up to her. She stands about 5 foot tall, and she says that Diddy picked her up under her arms and put her on the balcony, sat her on the edge, on the ledge of this balcony, and then dangled her off of the balcony. And he was yelling at her, you know what the bleep you did? You know what the bleep you did? She responded, I don't know what the bleep I did, but he eventually picked her back up and then threw her into some furniture that was on the deck. Cassie at this point comes out and starts questioning him, like, what did you just do? Did you dangle her off the balcony? That incident ends, and she doesn't say that there was any more violence beyond that she saw, but that clearly a very scary moment for her. And in fact, she is, and this came up while she was testifying, she is suing Diddy. She's filed a civil suit that she filed late last year, and that is an ongoing case. So that's something separate from the trial. But clearly, she said that she filed that lawsuit because she finally wanted to seek justice for what had happened to her. Now, she also testified a lot about drugs, and this is where the devil quote comes up. She admitted that she would often buy drugs for Cassie. Sometimes those drugs would go to Diddy. She said that Diddy would buy drugs that she would sometimes use. And she admitted all of this. So what's interesting is she was testifying under immunity. The government granted her immunity. I can only guess it's because she spoke a lot about buying drugs and delivering drugs to Cassie and to Diddy. So she talks a lot about that behavior, and she said in particular, at one party, she says that Diddy walked up to her and said, I'm the devil and I could kill you. Now, she doesn't explain what pissed him off so much, why he would have said that, but she did say he was doing a lot of drugs, and she even admitted, I was doing drugs that night. She guessed that she was on cocaine. She couldn't remember exactly. But it was that sort of atmosphere where she's painting this picture of, these drug parties where suddenly Diddy would fly off the handle and say something like this, which she was clearly intimidated by this. And in fact, she nearly broke down in tears on the stand when she's retelling this story, recalling the story. Now, the drug use is interesting because that's what, under cross-examination, Diddy's defense attorney, Nicole Westmoreland, really locked onto this. There was another story that Brianna had told. Before we get to the cross-examination, Brianna told a story about knife fights. She said that there was another time at one of these parties where Diddy just walked in, grabbed some knives, and threw them at Cassie. Now, she says that Cassie threw the knives back, and the way she described it is that these knife fights would break out from time to time. She definitely said plural knife fights. So, under cross-examination, Nicole Westmoreland, one of Diddy's defense attorneys, he's part of his dream team, she really zeroed in on the drug use and asked Brianna about the knife fights, asked Brianna about the drug use, and hammered her so much that what ended up happening is Brianna very frequently said, I don't remember, I don't know exactly. I don't remember if I said that there were plural knives or plural knife fights. As for the drug use, she said she couldn't remember sometimes which drugs were used or who bought what. It just made it seem like she didn't have all of her facts down. She said, at times Nicole Westmoreland would take out transcripts of meetings that prosecutors had had with Brianna, and she would read back to her, you said this, and Brianna would say, I don't remember saying it exactly that way, but I remember how I felt. All of this is not to say that Brianna is lying, but it certainly calls into question whether she is remembering a lot of these details, and that's could go a long way with jurors, where it makes her credibility as a witness, if she can't remember these details specifically, and if she says it one way and then says, I don't remember, well, that's all the defense is trying to do, is to take this witness and sort of zero that out, that they won't weigh the things that she's saying very heavily. So I think Nicole Westmoreland was very effective in that way. And because of that, and because Brianna was really the star witness of today, of day 16, I gotta say, the defense is the winner today. Because although she said a lot of things about abuse, about Diddy being controlling, perhaps even keeping Cassie forcibly keeping her in this relationship, I think the defense did a pretty good job of making it seem like she doesn't remember a lot of these details. So that's what they're there to do, and I think they did that effectively. Before we go, I just got to say this. There was another person who testified, Frank Piazza, and he was a forensic video expert. He talked about the Cassie beating video. He basically verified for the jury that even though you've heard the defense talk about the video being altered, certainly the CNN video, he said he went through it. He said there was nothing that altered or changed the video. There were not edits to it. He said when you see the video seeming like it's sped up, he talked about the difference between the speed that video is recorded on an iPhone and how it's recorded on the surveillance cameras. Is very sort of AV Club details that I get why the prosecution wants to make sure the jurors don't think that any of this video was altered in any way, but it's kind of boring. One of the things he did mention, he said that he had enhanced, and I'm assuming he meant for the prosecution, enhanced 10 videos, 10 sex tapes, sex videos, they said, that were recovered from a laptop that Cassie turned over to the government. They were recovered from a user file that said Frank Black. Now, we know that Frank Black is an alias that Diddy used in checking into hotels. That's been mentioned already in testimony. They say that these videos, now the sex videos were not played in court today. It sounds like They are going to be played for the jurors at some point, not for open court. Certainly won't be released to the public, but they will be played for jurors. And he was just talking about the enhancements he had to make on those videos, presumably so they could be presented to the jury. That's something coming up down the road. Tomorrow morning, we'll begin with more cross-examination of Brianna. It was pretty brutal today, and I imagine that Diddy's defense team is going to be pretty hard on her again to start day 17.